Man City head into the international break after putting together a seven-game unbeaten run in all competitions. They've won five of those, including last weekend's slender 1-0 victory at Brentford in the Premier League. Erling Haaland, who else scored what proved to be the only goal of the game. It's the Norwegian's 18th goal now in just 11 games for club and country so far this season, and we've only just entered October as well. Is there anything else we can say about Haaland now, Stephen? You know, the numbers he continues to rack up are just ridiculous, aren't they?
I think he's better, actually. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's scored at this rate before, and this is actually on his third best start, I think, actually, in the Premier League for City, which is wild to say. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's the aggression to his game, it's the motivation, it's the clear intention of putting the team on his very broad shoulders and carrying them forward. Like he said after the game that he's spoken a lot after games recently. Actually, he's clearly reveling the sort of senior role in the team. But he said afterwards that Vandenberg sort of started pushing him, and he thought, right, all right, let's have it, in his own words. And he was aggressive, and I've always felt that, and a lot of people have said similar things, that Haaland with his immense physicality, built like a Viking, that he should be able to bully defenders an awful lot more than he does. Don't get me wrong, he's shown immense physicality plenty of times, but this was a real centre forwards goal. He was aggressive. It was physical. Shades of Didier Drogba, who one of the most physical Premier League forwards ever, and he bullied that Brentford defence, and he made that goal himself. It was it was a speculative pass from Guardiola. It wasn't a bad pass, but it wasn't exactly nailed on going to Haaland, and he's turned that into a goal by essentially barging his way through the entire Brentford defence. And yeah, brilliant. And I think he's playing right now with a real intensity as well. He talked after the game as well about how being a father has helped him a little bit. He said he doesn't have time to think about football afterwards. He just switches off, goes home. If anything, he's found that that's actually benefited him because he's more focused when it comes to actual work. So yeah, like I like this new Haaland feels weird because he's doing the same thing as he's always done, but there's a different feel to him, I would argue. He definitely feels like he wants to be involved more. He's defending a bit more. He's trying to G up his teammates a little bit more. And he's just, yeah. So if he adds that experience he's now got as a 25-year-old, which is only still reasonably young in football, but his experience now at elite level, winning multiple things and, playing Champions League football for several years now, you get a player who's ready to take the next step as a leader, and I think that's evident in his game. You align that to his goal scoring, and you've got a pretty special talent.
Yeah, and do you think that all that comes down to, recently he signed that massive contract and some senior players, the likes of De Bruyne and Gundogan, for example, have left, and he's now sort of one of those senior figures now. And do you think all this is coming down to him taking a bit more responsibility and relishing that responsibility at City?
Absolutely, I do think he's aware of his increased importance. Look, when you sign a contract for 9.5 years, Guardiola said it in a press conference. He said, "I don't think he's stupid enough to." I'm paraphrasing, but stupid enough to sign something that he doesn't intend to complete, and that was the rough message that he got across. And I think there's an element of truth in that. He's clearly in love with this football club. He has done since he was a child, and I think, given the vacuum of leadership after the likes of De Bruyne and Gundogan, Edison and Kanji, all these treble winners have left, and then of course more players before that as well have left. Kyle Walker, Riyad Mahrez years ago, a lot of talent has left over the past couple of years. That was the bedrock of a great Manchester City side. He has to step up. Like, with all due respect to people like Savino, Doku, Oscar Bob, Nico Gonzalez, Kusanov, Mamouche. None of these have come even close to achieving what Haaland has in the game. And Haaland could have looked up to De Bruyne. He could have looked to people like Gundogan. But he's looking down at them, and not in a bad way, because he is the senior guy. He is the guy that they're going, whoa, that's Erling Haaland in training, And I know Mamouche might even be older than him, but Mamouche is on a entirely different level, of his career than Haaland is right now. So he has to be by by the demands of his stature and his position at Manchester City Football Club. And Guardiola, of course, selected him as one of the five captains in the leadership team, which I thought was an ingenious decision. I think, as I was saying earlier, it aligns with being a father now as well. It does change you. Speaking from experience, it makes you you think about things in a grander sense, and I think Haaland feels the responsibility in many ways. His teammates need him more than ever, given that vacuum of leadership. He probably feels it more on a personal level at home with his family as well. And I think he's going through that transition of being. And he is just a boy still. I know you don't feel it, but you don't feel like you're a boy when you're 20s, But in the grand scheme of things, you sort of are to an extent. I felt like I was a boy who was in the 20s looking back now compared to 40 years old now. And I think he's making that transition into a a man, an adult, a proper and he's a proper senior football player. And yeah, I think the leadership suits him, and I think he needs that person as well for his next step of development. And yeah, I'm enjoying it personally. I think it's a very interesting development.
Yeah, I think every City fan is enjoying it, and long may it continue for Haaland. He continues to receive a lot of praise, of course, from fans, from teammates, coaches, and pundits as well. Jamie Carragher is one of those. He's described Haaland as the best ever goal scorer in English football. Would you agree with that?
Um, well, technically not true yet. He's got to outdo my love for Aguero yet. But in terms of pure goal scoring, no, the Premier League's never seen anyone like that. I mean, that's not even up for debate. The stats are there, and he's not like he's just played one season here. He's been doing this for an awful long time for City now, and he's done things. He's broken records. I mean, he is the record goal scorer. He's got the best goal ratio. He's the fastest to 100 goals and all that kind of stuff and whatever. Um, I think that might be wrong with the last stat, but either way, he will be if he's not already there. He's an absurd talent. There's been great goal scorers, yeah, Shearer, Henry, Aguero, people like that, yeah, Cole and so on, and Owen and Fowler, and loads of great goal scorers over the history of the Premier League. None have scored goals at the rate Erling Haaland has. Like none. Like that's a fact by any sense. And the guy was built to score goals. Everything about his game is um, just he's an absolute goal scoring machine. And I don't know if anyone ever scored 36 goals in 35 games again, on the debut season. It's ridiculous. And he could challenge that record again this season. Like he can get better, which is the scary thing for everyone. I think he is getting certain signs of wanting to get better too. Is he the greatest goal scorer the Premier League scene? Depends who you ask. Ask some City fans and they'll say yes, but some will say Aguero. Ask a Spurs fan, they'll say Kane. So I'm sure United fans would point towards Rooney and United or Cole or whatever, or Arsenal, Henry. I don't really know the answer, but the rate he's scoring goals, I don't think. Put it this way: if every player in the Premier League played in the same, every other great goal scorer was put in the same Manchester City side, I don't think any scored more than him. I just don't. I think the way that Haaland is, he's just made to score goals. He's an absolute machine, and I think by the end of his Manchester City career, if he stays as long as he says he's going to, it won't be a question anymore. We'll be looking at 300-400 goals, and no one will be questioning it, and it would obliterate Shearer's record. What's the record? 260 or something like that, roughly.
260 for Shearer, yeah, that's right.
Well, he's on 94 now currently in the Premier League, and that's in 4 seasons. That's absolutely absurd. I don't know how many. I'm going to check how many seasons Shearer played, but I don't think he had that many that quickly. That's a quite special number. And I think Shearer himself said if he stays as long as he could do. Um, Shearer played for 11 years and for Newcastle. Then yeah, I mean yeah, he's gonna obliterate it
If he stays
almost
for that
certainly.
long period of time, yeah, he's got obviously this long contract. Who knows if he stays for the whole length of that? But even if it's for, say, 4 or 5 years, yeah, that's a good amount of time with the the trajectory he's already on to get
Well, four
record and
years,
more.
5 years at 30 goals a season, 150 goals. He needs, I'd say, if he does 6, 7 seasons, but who knows? He might start getting 40 goals a season in the Premier League.
Mm,
It's not beyond him.
mm.
I always forget, by the way. I was looking at Messi and Ronaldo stats the other day. I always forget just how because when Guardiola was talking about if is he in the conversation with those two, and he was very. I think he was being diplomatic because I still don't think he is in the conversation yet either. But I was looking at the goals scored, and I think we genuinely forget just how good those two were at goal scoring. Because what has Haaland's done in the Premier League with like 36 and 35 is ridiculous. But like what Messi had one season where he scored was it 50 league goals?
Yeah,
Which is
something like
just
that. Yeah.
mental, like to normalize that. And he was it, and like I think Ronaldo scored 46 that season in the league and still was
Mm.
second goal scorer. I was just looking at it the other day, 50 league goals in 37 games at one point. Yeah, I mean, but Haaland could do that in the Premier League. That's what's crazy. I think he could do, and I think that's the highest limit for Haaland is actually like 1.3 goals a game, which is crazy to think about. But that's what he'll want because he should. That sounds really weird to say that, but the very best version of Haaland, with the very best version of Manchester City, he should be scoring more than a goal a game because he's that talented.
Yeah, it is ridiculous form that he's in now, and yeah, he just continues to break records and impress City up front. And in terms of coming back to the City Brentford game, I guess overall. as a result? What did you make of the result and City's overall performance? Was it a feeling of sort of relief or feeling of joy, a mix of both after that game? City just getting a 1-0 win in the end. What were you thinking after the full-time whistle?
Online, I could see that the reaction was a bit divisive. I didn't mind. We ended up sort of semi-scraping at the end. I don't think Brentford really offered much. Their big chance came from a Vardy mistake anyway, really, and they had a couple of like half chances around that. But City were actually reasonably solid defensively, and I think Brentford weren't that great, if I'm being honest. So probably forced a hand a little bit there. But I do think there are budding signs of defensive stability, of obviously leading on from the Arsenal game, and a month ago we lose that probably. The last season we definitely lose that game. So I'm taking that positive from it. For the first half, we were really good, like genuinely good. There was a lot of control in that first half, and we had multiple chances. Yeah, we should have probably gone up 2-0, maybe. At least we were good value for the lead anyway. And then the second half, we just sort of lose stamina right now. We can't really keep up that focus for 90 minutes. I don't know what it is. Well, it probably is generally just a quality thing, a fitness thing right now. But City are a side very much in transition, and I had to sort of reassess mentally my expectations of this City side, going into the season. And if you compare them to the levels that used to be at, it's a massive drop down, undeniably. I think that's sort of naive though, because we all want them to be there as City fans, but they're not there yet. They're just not. Like, this is a side right now that is nowhere near the standards of the treble winning side or the four in a row or whatever, because it isn't. Because several world class players have left, and we've bought a whole bunch of new players. I'm sure some will be absolute quality, but a lot of them are potential still and very young, and that's a very um, different feel from Manchester City. So I made my peace with this City side being a work in progress, as long as we see signs of development. And I actually felt the Brentford game was another step in that direction. I know we were poor in the second half and lost a lot of rhythm and control. Um, Nathan Ake was talking about how hard it's become in the Premier League because teams go man to man these days. I'm sure that's actually a factor. I don't think that City would have cared, 5 years ago. If you went man to man like 5 years ago, City would have just passed it around you anyway and enjoyed it because they were high quality. But given the technical standards have dropped a little bit, I think we struggle when teams up the tempo a tiny bit because we're just not there yet. It's going to need a lot more fine tuning, people coming back into fitness, integrating the new signings. So I see this game with all that context as a good 3 points. We're 3 points off the top of the table. It felt like a disaster after the Spurs and Brighton games, and the wheels are coming off, and everyone was talking about the future of several players and so on. And actually, we're sat here now, start of October. Only 3 points off the all-conquering Arsenal, and Liverpool have had a big old stumble as well themselves with a lot of their new signings struggling. So it shows you that you'd be silly to write off this Manchester City side always. And I think, as Guardiola always says, just make sure you're in touching distance within January. And at that point, that's where you start to really focus on what you can achieve. And I don't think this City side, as I was saying in another video, I think maybe last week or the week before, this City side right now will probably look very different to the City side of March, because maybe personnel might be similar, but how they play, the ideas, the structure, the rhythm, the new signings, it'll feel different. And who knows, you might even sign someone in January. There's a space in the squad for it. So I am relaxed with the performance. It wasn't beautiful. The first half was good. Second half was struggled, but the resilience was there. The urge to win was there. And yeah, I think last season we drew that game. A couple of
Yeah,
late goals,
2-2.
Yeah,
Mm,
so yeah, it was two late goals, wasn't it?
yeah.
And look, and I know they're a different Brentford side, but we're a different Man City side as well. So you can take what you get. And right now, 3 points, if there are signs of improvement, just the results do matter right now, in my opinion, because I think it all bleeds into the improvement. Like the side needs confidence as well. It's easy to be in the transition when you've got all that experience, but it's easy. I guess it's easier to be in a side that's transitional if the players are experienced, not the experience within that collective team, if that makes sense. But these players are young, so I think the wins are actually really important. They're always important in football, but particularly for this side, for their confidence. So I think people like Oscar Bob and Nico O'Reilly and Nico Gonzalez as well, them being on the positive side of a result like that, when they're all still trying to learn their trade, so to speak. Yeah, I think it's a really good day for City overall, given the circumstances.
Yeah, and Man City's win over Brentford was Pep Guardiola's 250th in the Premier League. He's just the fourth manager in the division's history to reach that landmark, and he's also the quickest to ever do it in English top flight history, doing it after 349 games. How significant do you think that is for Guardiola to reach that landmark, and how big of an achievement is it for Pep?
It's huge. 250 wins. I mean, I don't think Pep cares, even being honest. But like I mean, I think Pep cares about trophies, not the number of wins. I know it bleeds into each other, but yeah, I mean, it's obviously just shows how special he is. It's just a further validation of the man's immense ability and his absolute natural ability to break records. Like he's a special manager. And I like his comment. He said, "Here's 250 more." So I'll take that, Pep.